I am Dr. Kate Christian. I want to welcome you here to the lecture today as part of our psychology speaker series here at Grand Rapids Community College. Thank you all for being here. I hope that you can take a few nice deep breaths, silence your cell phones, and just sit back and enjoy learning something new today. With us today is Sue Ellen Christian, professor in communication at Western Michigan University. She is the author of 2 books, Overcoming Bias, A Journalist's Guide to Culture and Context, and most recently, Everyday Media Literacy, an analog guide to your digital life. Professor Christian created Wonder Media, an exhibit to teach media literacy to middle school students, portions of which are now available online at wondermedialiteracy.com. She's currently working on a new project that I will let her tell you about. So please give a warm welcome to Professor Sue Ellen Christian.
Hi. There's room over on this side more if you want to take a minute. Thank you for taking time to come out. Can you all hear me okay? How many are in Dr. Christian's class? Oh, you lucky people. Whoever is Chloe's friend has to come say hi to me after class, because we have 2 good friends who we both have in our respective classes. So how fun is that? So thank you so much for coming today. Do I have to call you Dr. Christian? As Kate said, I do media literacy work, and just for the record, I'd like to say that Kate is the youngest of 5 siblings, and she's the smartest. So you got the second smartest in me. So I want to talk to you about media literacy and news literacy, and start out with a definition and then make it personal. So have people heard of this term media literacy before? It's kind of thrown around a little bit, but it's something that you can use for your whole life long. And it's super adaptable, and it's interdisciplinary. So it's basically the ability to access, meaning finding what you want online or in messaging, or whether it's at the library, in hardscape, or in the digital sphere, being able to access it, to analyze it, to evaluate it, meaning what do I think about this, give some valence, pro, con, and assess it in terms of deconstructing it. How is this built? What are they trying to get me to think or feel or do or act? And then indeed, do we act on those messages? Everything from, boy, I just saw the Super Bowl ad about Doritos, I want some Doritos, to I just learned something about, through a news story about something that I want to act on, and I'm going to write my congressperson. So there's lots of different ways we react to media. By the way, media writ large is both digital and analog. So think billboards and, flyer inserts in your newspaper, if you still get one of those things that are made of paper. But also, of course, digital ads and social media and TV and films and all the music that you listen to and stream as you're going around campus. Like, all of that is media. So there's a lot of different types. And the other thing just to think about is news literacy, which is kind of a cousin of media literacy. And that is helping us to do what so many people are concerned about right now, which is to sort fact from opinion, authentic, validated information, and that's trying to manipulate, or probably a better word is trick or fool us. Because frankly, all messages are trying to manipulate us in some way, but it can be for good. So let's take a look for a minute in your own lives. I'd just like you to pause and think about the ways you use media. If you've never done this, looking at your phone under settings to look at your media use. How many minutes a day are you on media, and what kind? Have people done that before? You're aware of that tool, and okay. So just ways to think about where am I spending my time? Where am I putting my clicks and my eyeballs? These are the core principles that this is what I think, if we do nothing else in our time together today, that I think is a gift to you all from media literacy. all media messages are constructed. And they're constructed with a creative language using its own rules. So think about that from the sense of it wants to get your attention. And an ad for, well, we're going to look at one in a minute. So I won't take away the fun of that in just a second. It's trying to get your attention. So that language is a creative language. The Super Bowl ads are trying very hard to appeal to you, a wide audience in some way. Have you ever gone to a movie with a friend and walked out and said, wow, I love that movie? And your friend says, I thought that stunk. I hated it. That's the third principle. Different people understand the same message differently. And you'll think to yourself, did we just see the same film? Like, that was awesome. How can you not like that movie? And similarly, your friend is thinking, that was the worst, I just wasted $9. So different people experience the same message differently. And by the way, the message can be, it can be the American flag. And certainly today, people feel about different things about the American flag. It could be certainly various news sources. People feel very differently about the same news article, whether it's fair or not, whether it's biased or not. So different people experience the same message differently. It's so often in our society why we get partisanship or why we get divided, because we might be reading the same thing, but we view it really differently. And we'll get to some of those psychological principles in a minute. Media have embedded values and points of view. So when you think about media, you're trying to, well, think about how you talk to your friends. If you're going to have a party and you want people to come, you have an embedded point of view. You're trying to persuade them. You're trying to let them know everyone's going to be there, bandwagon effect. You don't want to miss it, FOMO. You're doing all these things in your messaging to try to make sure that your values and point of view you're giving it your all because you want them to be there. That's an embedded value and point of view, and we see it all the time in messages. And then most media messages are organized to gain profit or power. And it can be good power, it can be good profit, and it doesn't have to be financial. But we see both. So in your case, the case of my little hypothetical party that we're all having at, I think, your house next week, that would be the profit you would get is people coming. You know, that you are trying to gain power, meaning their presence. You are trying to convince them of something. So let's just take a look at a few ads with what we just learned in mind. This one right here, different people understand the same message differently. Most of us would just see a crib and turn the page in the magazine. This one really tries to get you to think twice because it's actually a pregnancy test as well. If you pee on the bottom of it, you can find out if you're pregnant or not. That's an unusual ad. That is an ad meant to get your attention. And let's just go back for a minute. Look at which one of these. So the second one, right? The second one, a creative language with its own rules. Wow, how can, you know, they're using the format of a paper message. Obviously, this doesn't work digitally, but it's really capitalizing on the creative language that's within this particular media message, which is its medium, meaning paper. Middle one, how's it hit you? What's the first thing you notice? The belly button? What else? Just give me some riff on ice cream. Gotta love it. Color? I kind of start, yeah, what were you thinking? Obesity? Certainly, so it's kind of a metaphor for being overweight, and in this case, it's childhood obesity, a French ad, and this is a real attention getter, right? Just because visually, it's such a strong image. Immediately, we read it as, okay, let's go back here for just a minute. You might experience that message really differently, depending on who you are, where you are in life, your genetics, your body shape. So this middle one, we all might experience really differently because of who we are and our background. This one here, how's it get your attention? Yeah, how does it get your attention? So it's a porcupine and some fish. It's different for sure. Is it funny? Not a very successful ad then. I think it's supposed to be funny. Let's let Volkswagen know. It failed the comedy test. I also think it doesn't, I think it's hard to, you have to really look at it and try and figure out what is this about? So in that sense, you might argue it's not the most successful message. And then this last one is very clever, I think. It's a billboard, which is also a media message, by the way. A billboard. It's a sundial, and it's telling you at what moment you should be going back to the drive-thru at McDonald's. Media have embedded values and points of view. Did anybody see this ad last night? Yeah. What'd you think of it? It was great. Seriously. That's fascinating, and what a great way to get attention. I picked this one because I thought it was, Doritos has been advertising with the Super Bowl for more than 25 years. And the evolution of these ads has been great and yet not so great. All of them is telling you basically go eat Doritos in a variety of ways. Another dimension that we're seeing with digital media is AI, artificial intelligence. And it's making some things really lovely and convenient and wonderful and helpful, and other things more problematic. Pardon me. Sorry. So ChatGPT might be helping you write a cover letter for your resume. I'm all for that, and then you sweep in and customize it a little bit. I'm not so all for having ChatGPT write a news article if you're in one of my journalism classes. So we have the pro and con of AI, and it's certainly particularly in the area of journalism, which is one of my areas of expertise, is affecting the kinds of information we get. And it's getting harder and harder to figure out is something real or not. Is it mis or disinformation? Will you please feel free to come on in and sit down if you'd like. It won't bother me at all to just make yourself at home. And so one of the things that AI is capitalizing on is our attention. Why is social media free? Why don't you have to pay for social media? Yeah.
We're the product.
Yes, did you hear? A+, you're the product. You're the product. So just think about that for a minute. Social media is free because you are the product, because your data is being sold. Your data. Have any of you ever bought a bike and filled out that little card, or filled an online card out that says, all these things about you? Why did you buy this? How did you find out? It doesn't have to be a bike. It can be any product. But anytime you buy something, oftentimes, they're seeking even more information about you. How did you find out about us? What's your age range? What's your income? There are these little cards that ask you to give you all this information. Well, think of that as happening automatically now when we are online. Have you heard of these little things called cookies? So now we see this thanks to Europe, and it's not mandated in America. It is mandated in Europe, and most of these companies, because they're digital, they're crossing the ocean, and they want to obviously cater to the American public as well. So when you go on a website that has cookies, meaning these little, they're blanking out on the word. There's a technical term. Somebody help me.
Footprints.
Thank you. Say that again.
Footprints.
Yeah, it's footprints, but it's like it's a tracker. That's what I was trying to think. It's tracking all of your action on that website. How often you're on the website, what pages you're going to, what time of day you're on it, everything. And this is all data about you. In fact, it knows then where you are when you're on it, like what's my location in Kalamazoo, Michigan, what device I'm on, how old the device is, and on and on and on. And so when we accept a cookie, we're accepting that little bug being implanted on our laptop. And we can clear our cache, meaning clear the cookies, but every time we get on a website again, we get another cookie. And they're essential to the functioning of algorithms and tracking our data, and then our data being resold to data brokers, meaning, so when I go to Facebook and I put things on Facebook, Facebook has, I'm not on it a lot, and it has more than 5,000 data points about me. More than 5,000 data points about someone who posts maybe once a quarter. And the level of data is extraordinary. And Facebook sells this data to third-party brokers. It sells my information and your information to folks who are then might find my data worthwhile in a variety of ways. Oh, you're looking for someone who's middle-aged, white Protestant and lives in Southwest Michigan? We'll send you her stuff. And so the gift of our attention goes far beyond just what we're enjoying. It is a way that we are giving away our data. So, yeah. Sorry.
And then all of a sudden, whatever you conversed about is on your timeline without you.
Yeah.
Like, what is that about?
Sure. So this feeling that please raise your hand if you've been talking about something and then suddenly you find that there it shows up on your feed, or it shows up as a pop-up on the, literally right, the next time you go online. I'm not a digital technology expert, and so I can't say conclusively how that happens. The last article I read about 4 months ago swears that a journalist basically delved into this deeply because we all feel like we're being spied on, and said, no, they swear up and down, and we did all these tests, and they really don't, they're not listening to you. They, listen to me, they, the great mighty they, the tech company or the platform is not listening to you. I find that hard to believe, but it's not an area that I've looked a lot into. I feel like even without that, they still know a heck of a lot about us. So the gift of our attention, if you care about something, if you want to see more of something, keep watching it, keep clicking it, keep sharing it, because of algorithms. A word that sounds familiar to folks, algorithms? Okay. I'm so sorry about this. I keep clearing my throat in your ear. The algorithm that we care about in this instance is like what's going to make you keep on scrolling. How can I feed you something that is going to keep you online another 5 more minutes, or that's going to make you click and buy something? So algorithms are geared on social media to giving us more of what we like, more of what we've already. Thanks, love. More of what we've already liked in the past. So this is how we get into these filter bubbles of whether it's partisan or a filter bubble in terms of an interest level. You can go really deep in the gaming world if that's all you do. You'll get really granular, really niche publications and information if you are always playing video games and you're really into it. And that's what where you spend your time and your clicks and your shares. So we certainly see this with partisanship, that the more that you might click on conservative or liberal or Green Party if you're in Europe, those kinds of thinking and that point of view, you're going to get more and more and more of it. Those are algorithms feeding you that. Do you follow me there? And that's all feels like, okay, been there, okay. So from a psychological point of view, algorithms, one of the tools that they use to keep us coming back is intermittent reinforcement. And so, Kate, you can come explain that. Is this the one with I always use the rats, B.F. Skinner and the rats. So without going into the whole rat thing, given time, I'll just say that this notion of wondering when we're going to get fed again, wondering when we can sort of hit the lever and get the kibble, is what keeps us coming back to social media. How many times, you know, you'll post something, I wonder if anyone's liked it yet. You know, you wait all the 6 seconds, and then like, oh, nobody's sharing it. Nobody, you know, okay, maybe not that intensely, but certainly it matters to us. Otherwise, we wouldn't post it. We want people to see it. We want them to comment. We want to have a dialogue. And so because of that, algorithms have figured out, you know what, if I don't deliver this to Sue Ellen every time, if I don't deliver a real-time, real up-to-date thing, but guess what? Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to be one of these social media platforms. I'm just going to hold back the likes for a while. I hold them all, an hour, 2 hours. They're racking up, but she doesn't know it. And then in this lovely burst of endorphins, I'm going to give her them all at once. And it's like, oh, we're just so happy we just got all the likes at once. It was just like a big old birthday present. Well, that's what how algorithms work with intermittent reinforcement. Trying different patterns with different users and different people to either release them all at once, hold them back. And by the way, did you know that Facebook and X and Blue Sky and Truth Social, all of them work on algorithms, and you can prioritize the information you want to prioritize. So for example, if you want to prioritize, as a platform owner, positive information, you could. But the number one things that people click on, respond to, engage with are posts that make them angry, are posts that give them a sense of awe or wonder. And then the third one is things that make them laugh, that entertain them, which I suspect for most of us, it's that like, oh, this is so funny. I just gotta send this to my sister. This is cracking me up. So FOMO, fear of missing out, so that we're always checking our phone. That's certainly playing on our the part of us that is doesn't want to be left out. So compulsive phone use is some people call it addiction. It has not been determined to be a medical condition, so it's not technically considered an addiction. But compulsive is the phrase that experts have agreed and research have agreed is certainly happening in our lives. How many people can't go to sleep without your phone, either watching a video or listening to something or texting with someone or something? Yeah, right. And do you wake up with one too? Does your phone wake you up? Like if your alarm? Yes. And then what's the first thing you do after your alarm goes off? Do you keep your phone in your hand? Yes. So if you want to use your phone less, don't wake up with it. Yeah.
I actually bought a business phone for my business, and it's a Barbie phone.
Oh.
It's a flip phone. And
Yeah, a Barbie phone.
It's supposed to, I wish I had it on me today, but my other purse, but it's like supposed to be designed to get you
Yes.
away from.
We all go get a Barbie phone. I've never heard it called that. A flip phone. Basically, make it harder to engage, make it less visually interesting. You've all heard of going grayscale and, putting on limits to your, after 1 hour on Insta, it's going to beep at me or whatever it does. And so then I have to override it, and it will make me remember that I've already been on this an hour because the time is flying. So there's all these tools we can use like that to help limit our use. But one of the best ways is don't start your day with it. If we give ourselves about 10 minutes to do other things, we have not then already it's a habit. It's a media use habit. And if we can break that media use habit by saying, you know what, I'm gonna put my phone across the room so I can't lay in bed. I got to actually get up out of bed, turn it off, and then maybe once I'm up and about, I'll just go brush my teeth, go, get some breakfast or whatever, start my day, as opposed to grabbing that phone that's right handy at your bedside. Confirmation bias. I know people hate the media, particularly the news media. I know because I'm among them and I hear it a lot. That being said, professional journalists, honest journalists work very hard to talk to lots of different people, to get lots of different points of view. In fact, that's the bread and butter of what we do. That's the bread and butter of our credibility, meaning our trustworthiness, is who did you talk to? It's like if you go to a party and somebody comes afterwards and describes to you the party and this big fight that was there. And they're telling you all about it. And you start asking critical questions like, well, did you see the fight? No. I was in the other room, but I heard all about it. Who'd you hear about it from? I heard about it from, your mutual friend, Kate. Well, Kate, I don't know if I believe her. She's such an exaggerator. Like, well, you sure? Literally, fists were thrown. The point being, we care about the source. The point being, in our personal lives, when we're trying to figure out something that we care about, what happened to us, we want to know who said it. Did you see it? How do you know? And journalists do this writ large. Okay, this is happening in the federal government. Who says? How do we know? Where's the documentation? Where's the proof? And then I want to talk to a lot of different people. I don't want to just talk to one side or the other. I want to talk to people affected, people who are experts in this area. So when we are thinking about confirmation bias, and many times what we'll do is this idea that I mentioned earlier of algorithms sending us down these rabbit holes that are partisan. And news is the same way. We can find news that furthers our particular point of view. We all know that. We can tune into news that furthers our particular point of view, and we can certainly find podcasts and talk show or talk radio type podcasts that feed us more of that. I just want to introduce you to one. There's many out there, but allsides.com is one way to mix up your media consumption. It gives you left, right, and center in terms of politics. And that's really where we're seeing the biggest divide. So allsides.com is one source for sort of one-stop shopping. So if I usually read certain information that's conservative, I'm going to work through allsides.com to read a centrist point of view and something that's more liberal. Check it out. It's free. It's not always perfect, but it gives me a variety of outlets without me having to go to every one. This gives me a little sampling and starts to what I hope is break another media habit, which is I always get my news from X or from Y. We have to read widely now. We have to. No more do we have, for those of you who are a little bit older in the room, we don't have Walter Cronkite at 6 p.m. telling us the way the world is. No argument that, that's it. We have a lot of points of view, and they're rich, and it's one of the great parts about media, but it's also a problematic part because we have so much to wade through. Last point is, when it comes to social media, schemas and stereotypes. I'll show you a bit of an example of that when we look at my website in a minute. Isn't that cute? So we are social animals, which is one reason it's really hard to stay off social media. We like to be connected, and even if it's virtually. So when does that start to take us in bad places? Well, we know too much time on screens, not enough face-to-face communication makes us more depressed, hurts our sleep cycle. We know that too much information means that we're not really focusing on any one thing very deeply. And so we're just flying. We're just going through that feed. In fact, it's really depressing statistic, but for a journalist, that is, most people decide whether they're going to read an article within 6 seconds. So no wonder we get clickbait headlines. If you want people to click on your article, the headlines are getting more and more sensational because you're trying to get someone's attention in 6 seconds to spend more than 6 seconds with your story. You follow me? Too much sensory stimulation. I put videos in gaming. It's anything. Certainly YouTube videos and social media. It's really eating into our sleep. So the other angle that we want to think about here when it comes to algorithms and what it's feeding us is the mis and disinformation. Given several interviews in recent weeks to different NPR affiliates, and everyone's wondering about, boy, how do we avoid misinformation? How do I tell what information is reliable? I'm tired of being misled, and I'd rather just not look at the news media at all. It's depressing, and also I don't trust you all. So those are all valid feelings, and we certainly have an onslaught right now of information coming at us. We have so much information from so many quarters. So one of my suggestions is to really start curating what you consume. And there's a slide on that in just a second. But know that algorithms drive your feed, and one way you can control that is by being more careful about where you're landing with your attention. Conspiracy theories are really rampant right now. They're very strong, and on social media, boy, do they get rolling like a giant snowball. You cannot disprove conspiracy theories because they're conspiracy theories, because it's a big cover-up. Because I couldn't possibly tell you the real answer, says the person who's promulgating the theory, because it's top secret, or only a small number of really elite people in the government know. That's the nature of a conspiracy theory. And then deepfakes and the liar's dividend. I personally find this one particularly interesting, and that is when you don't trust information, when everything seems suspect, you don't believe anybody. And a liar's dividend is when you're the one who screwed up, when you're the politician who just got caught in an extramarital affair. All you have to do is say, it's not true. We already know the news media makes things up. We know there's AI and deepfakes. That video of me walking out of that apartment building, that's fake. That's fake. That's the liar's dividend. When everything becomes suspect, even when it is true, unless you really care about looking into something, you go, yeah, that sounds right. I mean, you know, why? Of course, the news media is making something up. So the liar's dividend allows people, when they have been caught, legitimately caught, or done something that they don't want to get out in the public as an elected official, it allows them to say that the news media has skewed this. Not to say that the news media doesn't sometimes get it wrong, or and that there's some news outlets that are very biased. But in general, what it does is give a free pass. Photoshopping, I just want to show you some of the simple examples you'd see of mis and disinformation on social media right now. And that's the easiest thing to do, is just a simple Photoshop to change the meaning of an image. And these are both innocuous, harmless images, but we've certainly seen our share, as in the American public during a campaign season, of images that are harmful, that are divisive, and many times what gets traction on social media is just a simple Photoshop, which any of us can do. I really do like this picture. I think he looks really good in it. Is it deep fake? How might you know? So this comes over your, like, what are some things we should be asking ourselves? Yeah. The Pope would never wear that. So you're using the number one skill that we have, which is critical thinking. Like, the other thing is to pause. Like, instead of, why? Well, I can see why. I mean, he looks good, but why? What else might give us a clue besides our critical thinking? Yeah.
Photos, there's always something that's a little off, like the fingers. So either the hands are hidden or the fingers, there's not a right amount.
Beautiful. So fingers are a huge one. Did you remember the little controversy over Kate? Is she the princess? Kate Middleton. She added like fingers to herself or took them off when she was photoshopping her Christmas picture. It was like, oh. Yeah, so this hand here looks a little weird. Oftentimes too, look at ears, look at glasses, like are they lined up, number of earrings. So alignment, especially in the finer features. Also looking at the background, is one side a different color than the other side? So one of the points is pause and look at it. Use critical thinking, pause, and then look for those little hints, those little inconsistencies. Let's see if we can hear old Richard. I'm not sure if I can.
Evening, my fellow Americans. Fate has ordained that the men who went to the moon to explore in peace will stay on the moon to rest in peace. They will be mourned by their families and friends. They will be mourned by their nation. They will be mourned by the people of the world.
The deep fake Richard Nixon when he was announcing that the first U.S. astronauts landed on the moon and walked on the moon. And this is reversing the joyful results of that landing. Nobody died, but that's a deep fake. And if you look really closely at his lips and mouth, you'll see they don't quite match up, but boy, that voice is spot on, isn't it? And that is through large language models and AI that scrapes all of the Richard Nixon audio possible to be able to mimic his voice, his cadence, the pitch of his voice, and say anything that you want him to say. The harder part right now with deepfakes, and they're going to get better, is matching the speech with the movement of the lips and face. But that's a deepfake, and that's an innocuous one. But certainly, there are far more harmful ones. So what's up? Why are we immersed so much? Why do we need media literacy like we haven't needed it ever before? Digital media is sending us into a tailspin of information that is super hard to keep up with. How many people just quit looking at the news? In scholarly language, that's called news avoidance, which I think we should give it a more colorful term. But why are people creating misinformation, and why do they believe it? You create misinformation for this point of the media literacy concepts, which is profit or power. So I create misinformation because I either want you to buy something, to give me something, your attention. I want to create chaos. I want to create doubt. That gives me a form of power. Oops, sorry. I'm talking about fake news here. To me, as a journalist, that's a four-letter word. I don't use the term because fake news isn't fake. There's propaganda There's misinformation, there's false information that's meant to deceive, but news is not fake. True news. A better phrase is fake content, misleading content. And the impact of fake news is to make folks distrust honest news media, and it's worked. Public trust in the news media is at an all-time low. About 1 in 3 Americans trust the news media. That means 2 in 3 don't, obviously. Some people share misinformation. I don't mean create it, but share it because they think it's correct. They think they're doing you a favor. Oh my gosh, whatever you do, don't do this. Or, oh my gosh, did you see this information? Another reason that we share misinformation is to show our stripes, to show our tribe. Partisanship, our belief system. We want those who are following us, we want to pronounce to our social media audience, this is who I am, this is what I believe. So partly it's to build social capital, to build up our credibility within our friend group. Also creates, to create chaos and confusion, whether purposefully or for entertainment, to make money. So how do we spot it? I mentioned all sides. I just want to shout out another one. Ground.news is another one that gives you a variety of news from various points of view. I hope that if you do nothing after leaving this conversation today, you'll make an effort to try and diversify your information intake, your news intake. And if you're wondering if you have a good news site or one that is actually following some of the principles of talking to lots of different people with lots of different points of view, naming those people, so not anonymous sources. Not using hyperbolic or name-calling, the hyperbolic language meaning exaggerated or extreme language trying to get your attention or to make you mad. One of the ways you can look for some of those options of news sources is mediabiasfactcheck.com. Ad Fontes is another one. And now All Sides also has a media bias chart. I don't want to get too granular. It has its pros and cons, all of these. But in general, it will give you a sense. All I'm asking you is in the great smorgasbord of different kinds of news and information, try and pick from a variety of tastes and sources so that you get a wider range of information. Yes, sir?
Talk about this, like journalistic integrity. Talk about like communicating a lot of sources and everything like that. Then where does the breakdown happen?
Yeah.
I mean, I almost feel like we could apply that in the same way to a nurse in the healthcare field. They're going in with the best intentions,
Right.
But then where does the breakdown
That's a
happen?
great
Right?
question.
Where does the decisions start to move into money related?
Yeah.
When I first heard about the USAID, funding some of our media, our news media, that bothered me. But at the same time, you have to ensure that the media can exist.
Yeah.
And so then if they don't have to sensationalize in order to receive money, that might be the way to go.
Right.
But it just seems like once the story passes the journalist, moves on to the editor, and then the C-suite, maybe that's where
It's such a good question.
bias, the manipulation happens, because
Yeah.
I want to believe what you believe too, in the integrity of the journalist who goes out.
Right.
This is what I'm doing. Like
Yeah.
But the fact is that it is happening.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to just try and summarize it, and I'm happy to talk to you more about this because it's an excellent question, and lots of different issues that your question brings up. So in general, the question is, if I could paraphrase it, if, as I'm saying, honest journalists function in a certain way, and they're trying to
Do all these professional things to be fair, to show balance, to show a variety of points of view. So then why do we end up with news coverage that doesn't feel that way? Why do we end up with news coverage, whether it's from CBS, ABC, Fox, MSNBC, then some print publications that you might know, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, I don't know, name some others, that feels not balanced, fair, measured. Am I right? Is that a fair? How did we get here? Why is this happening? If this is supposedly, if these are the professional standards, the number one reason why is I can't give you number one. I'll give you some reasons. One, digital media and algorithms. So news outlets are in a fight for their lives because they are for profit, almost all of them, except for public media. So think PBS, NPR, American Public Radio, Voice of America. So those are partially taxpayer funded, those entities that are public media, partially taxpayer funded by your taxes, but very in a very small amount, but anyway, they are. And their charge from Congress for public media is give us stuff that is not commercially viable, meaning that not the Avenger franchise, not that's going to make money, but that you think is important for educational. So if you've ever seen Sesame Street, it started on public media. It's still there, although it looks like it's going to be ending its run even on public media. But that kind of, so educational programming, it's what a lot of us grew up with. PBS NewsHour, if you're a news junkie, documentaries, and indigenous and cultural coverage that you might not get from for-profit media. 90% of the U.S. media, pardon me, let me say this again. 90% of the world's media is produced by 6 U.S. conglomerates. And those 6 U.S. conglomerates own the majority of the news outlets in America. So you have the Grand Rapids Press, you have Grand Rapids MLive.com. That's owned by Advance, which is a massive, massive news organization. I bring up this example because in Grand Rapids, you don't get a paper every day. You used to get a paper every day in Grand Rapids. Now you don't. It's online primarily, and their staff has shrunk from about 60 people to about 5 people, roughly. I'm much more familiar with the Kalamazoo Gazette situation. The point being, staffs are shrinking tremendously since the advent of digital news, which is around 2000. It's a very long way of saying that there's definitely an economic incentive and pressure on news organizations from the C-suite in particular to try and figure out a new model for making money as a news outlet. What?
It seems like when a story goes kind of biased, it seems like journalist, on the base level, and then not really apply that to the decision makers up top. And in the same way, back to like what I said about like a healthcare system. Nurses are going to do everything they can.
Yeah.
But then insurance and
Yeah.
C-suite again is making these decisions that change it all.
Right.
And I don't know what the solution is about that when it comes to the journalist taking the heat as if they're the ones that are going in and putting the bias on.
I think what happens more naturally and what I teach about
In my journalism classes is our bias comes through pressure, time pressure. So when you only have a handful of people now covering all of Grand Rapids, you aren't talking to as many people. You're just not. And they're shorter conversations because now I have to do 3 stories a day. 3 stories a day. So because the staffs have shrunk, because money is tight, because we're competing in a digital information ecosphere, meaning you guys can pick anything you want to consume. It used to be, you get your network news and you got some newspapers. And it's just exploded, which is wonderful. And there's so much good content out there. But it also means that for news organizations, the whole revenue stream has changed. It used to be that about 70% of news organizations, newsprint organizations, made their money from classified ads. And then this guy named Craig came up with Craigslist, and it blew us out of the water overnight. Why would I pay $75 for a stupid classified ad to sell my kid's Schwinn bike when I can sell it for free on, and literally overnight? So happy to talk to you more, but excellent question. And here are the three things that we can all do. Count the number of sources if you're looking for, do I trust this or not? Just count them. How many people did you talk to? Are they named? And does it tell me why I should listen to this person? Count the number of emotional words in the headline and in the first couple sentences. If it is saying things like, shocking, you'll never believe, words that are emotional, and, I probably will believe this. I probably will. So, trying to just get you worked up. And then if you want to share it, if you are thinking like, wow, one way to stop misinformation is just to stop yourself and pause. Think about, let that critical thinking kick in. The Pope is not going to wear a big old puffy coat. The Vatican would never let him. So here's some other tips. I'm happy to share this with you all. I think we've talked about most of these. I'm going to move on. This is an example. I know, isn't it so great? This is an example of a reverse image search. Has anyone ever done a reverse image search? They're beautiful. So if you really doubt something, it's so easy. You just take and drag the image into Google search. There's a little camera icon on the right to the right lower from your Google search bar. And if you click on that, it lets you drop a photo in. And it will tell you everywhere where that photo has shown up on the internet. So it will let you know, wow, this photo is from like 1986. The Pope, this isn't, Or this photo is from Rochester, and this says it's this current news story or this social media post says it's from Birmingham. They repurposed it. They took it and changed the time and place in its description to mislead me. We see this all the time, and it's super easy to do. So in this case, it looks like all these National Geographic photographers are running from a bear who has been photoshopped in. So there's my illustration. There's that little camera icon. Drag and drop it. You can also do this on your phone. It's just easier on the desktop, but you can do it on your phone. You click on the image, and you'll get a little drop-down menu on your phone that says search Google for this image. And this lets me know, wow, look at all the different choices I could put to Photoshop a bear in. You follow that? Does that make sense to you, like what we just learned, what we just saw? It's one quick way, and honestly, the better you get at it, you can find that out in 10 seconds. And in that 10 seconds that you have waited, you didn't share misinformation. Another way, if you want to do it on your phone, is to just, when you go to, on your phone, request a desktops. And so you'll get that same image with the icon of the phone. I think that's the easiest way to go. Pause for a second. Everyone doing all right? I was just going to show you two last things. The website that I worked on and invite you and hope you will spend some time on and enjoy, and then tell you about the album and musical I'm working on. Any questions that you want to interject? I really appreciated the engagement. Yeah.
For the Google Lens thing, you can take a screenshot of the photo on your phone, and then you can also put it in through there. You can add it to your home screen, I think through like a widget or something.
So you can, great suggestion. Take the screenshot of the social media post, and then you can drag that either into the Google image search, or TinEye is also another one if you don't like Google, which I totally get. All right, thank you. Any other tips for the good of all of us? That I'm honestly, I mean, we all, yeah.
Arrive at a place where none of us actually give a shit if the Pope is wearing that type of coat. That's a better spot for you.
I love that. Yeah, let's decide where we're putting our attention. You know, it's back to that. What are we caring about? What are we clicking on? And we're going to get, because that'll just die in the wilderness. It will die in the wilderness. Amen. Yeah.
My question, it goes back to the attacks on honest information
Mm-hmm.
in regards to conspiracy theories.
Oh,
Now, I know that there's a big allergy to conspiracy theory. It tends to be in academic circles.
Ah.
But they're almost, I kind of feel like there should be a media literacy towards conspiracy theory. Like, I'll take an example. In the late 60s, early 70s, a lot of black activists were insistent that the United States government was undermining their groups.
Mhm.
They were infiltrating the groups, and they were taking down the groups. Everyone was like, oh, they're crazy, completely crazy.
yeah, they weren't.
About mid-70s, you know, they broke into a FBI office
Yep.
and took files about COINTELPRO. And it just became fact. They fully infiltrated the Black Panthers.
Yep.
All different
Martin
types of-
Luther King Jr.'s whole enterprise, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's not so easy as like they're all crazy, like to equate everything in conspiracy to like aliens or like like there's very real times when people in power conspire.
Oh, absolutely, which is why yes. So, but let's cleave those two apart. Because the reason that you can say this with confidence, as you should, is because you've seen proof. And because
But there was a window when
there
that proof
was a
wasn't
window,
there.
that's correct.
Black people were discredited for making
Absolutely. Right, but yes. Yes and yes. And there I feel like that's why we need journalists who are have developed sources, who are willing to put their lives, frankly, in jeopardy to get information. It's why things like a Freedom of Information Act request are so important, and they're being ignored often. So absolutely yes. That's where the critical thinking component comes in. Like, how do you know that they're infiltrating? Until we can get proof, we don't know. And so I do think all you can do is say, well, the he said, she said, until we get that proof. But excellent point, which to me is that journalistic skepticism of who is profiting from this argument that the FBI has infiltrated, and why would they say that, and starting to ask hard questions, but always looking for evidence, always. Quick, some things I want to show you. This is from my website. And let's see if I can get out of this to quick show you my website. I love my website. I do. I hope you all visit it. It's called Wonder Media Library, and it's just a good time. There's so many things to do on it. Let's look at just a few of them. I hear people wanting to leave, so I'm feeling a little like, oh. All right. Oh, sorry, man. I don't really know how. Oh, look at that. Thanks, Kate. I would just sit here and play the game while you all watched me. You're like, wow, Sue Ellen's having a fun time up there. I'm glad someone is, right? Okay, so there's so many interesting things to think about. I interviewed different people about how they felt about the American flag. And what I invite people to do first is just look at the person and think about what you think they would have said about the American flag and their feelings about it. And then read what they actually said about it. For example, Joe is a lawyer and he's a practicing Quaker, and I had no idea that generally, for example, Quakers don't say the Pledge of Allegiance. I had no idea till I interviewed him. So he has very distinct ideas about the flag that we, and that's the same message. We all have here's a person who teaches government. and he has a very nuanced view about what the flag means to him. But can someone please get an A+ by telling me which media literacy concept this is? Yeah, oh, and the title did too. Come on now. Let's see. I'm not used to this little friendly mouse. All right, let's go to quick watch a video. Whose story gets told? These are all people that I interviewed about how do the media represent you, and I invited them to speak whatever identity was super important to them. We all have lots of different identities, and I said, give me one. So, for example, Julie Dye is part of a Native American community, and she's an elder. And I asked her to please, I asked each of these individuals to please pick media that they think represents them well and accurately, and media that does not represent them accurately or distorts their identity. And part of media literacy, do you remember how it was access, assess? And this is the assess part, the assess and, so how is media creating stereotypes or, especially if I don't know Native American people, the media that I get is going to shape my ideas about people that I don't know in person. So let's just take a quick listen.
If you kill him, you'll have to kill me too.
Daughter, stand back.
I won't!
Unfortunately, the Pocahontas video and the No Doubt video just told me what I grew up with. I grew up with the narrative that was not defined by Native people, but defined by non-Natives for their entertainment.
Our people have inhabited these waters since creation.
A tugboat pushing an American fuel barge has run aground, spilling 200,000 liters of diesel and heavy fuel.
This government's just gonna crap oil all over the place, and there's nothing that a little 6-year-old can say about it.
I am 14.
I need you to stop the fuel barges from crossing our territory.
My name is Morningstar Woman. I'm also known as Serene Fox.
My name's Chris Nargang. I'm Anishinaabe. I don't know my culture as well as I'd like to. I'm very fortunate to have Serene with me as a traditional woman to help guide me and set me forward.
Our unwellness comes from our loss of our culture, loss of our language.
When I watch them, I think the damaging ones, the stereotypical ones, kind of stuck with me more. The education system, you know, a lot of times include a lot of these stereotypes, and that needs to be changed as well.
Just one example of one person's perspective. There's lots of different perspectives here. Folks who are autistic, who are living life as a physically disabled person. Just a lot of different perspectives. And inviting you to think about how what we learn from media about people who we don't know well or who aren't like us. There's a game on whether you should share particular media posts or not, like Kanye proposing marriage to Taylor Swift at the Grammys. This is a perfect example of, sorry. I'm not really sure how to use all this little button here. I don't really know. Anyway, I can tell you the answer because I wrote it. And that is repurposed content. So that actually happened at the Academy Awards, as you may know. He was basically letting her know that Beyonce should be winning that award and not Taylor Swift. And so taking that and just putting a different title on it, repurposing the content to create fake news. And so you can play that game and drag the slider. Yeah, sorry, I don't quite understand how to use this particular. It works really well on my computer. And then I want to show you probably my favorite game. Well, there's so many, but Escape the Fake is super fun. And I'll just quick show you the start of it.
You are scrolling through your social media feed. Suddenly, you find yourself trapped due to a message of lies and deception.
I love that.
Help! Here is the post of lies and deception that has entrapped you. It is designed to trick you. This game is to help you learn to identify the misinformation that you see online. Your goal is to find the truth and escape the fake.
Escape the fake. Search for clues by touching objects in the office.
Want to pick an object for me to touch? The cactus? Okay, this is just a stale one.
You won't find any clues growing here.
Let's try that.
To uncover the truth clue, you must answer the following. If you're running a race and you pass the person in second place, what place are you in? First place? Second place? Third place?
Geniuses.
The correct answer is, if you pass the person in second place, you become the person in second place. You might have thought you would be in first place. That kind of fast, efficient thinking is an example of automatic thinking.
There you go. And then I'll quick play you one of my songs on the album. So working on an album that's a precursor to a musical that I'm writing for community use in a high school. It's nonprofit, and artists are really giving me a cut rate. And it is funded in part in tribute to our dear mother, who was a music educator. And it's a way to educate people in a nonpartisan manner. I try really hard to give us all skills and not divide, but create content that helps us to see the collaborative spirit. So I'm going to quick play you a little bit of both of them. Thanks. This is... You can dance if you want.
I see me on the TV that was made for me. Living in my pocket, on demand, 1 billion people in my hand. What is real, what is not, that's for me to figure out. Take a little time to find myself and look for things that make me well. Decompress and make space inside of my head. I can't tell you what I need, leave the rest behind. I don't need to click.
So that's kind of, that's one taste of one, and here's more of a rock anthem. Still working on mixing this one, so that it's a demo, but you get the idea. Oh.
We get our news through a piece of glass. Everybody wants to think they're right. No challenge means you always win your own fight. But with partial information, is anyone really winning? Still we try to get the upper hand and choose pride over kindness. Yeah, we're cast in a play written by fools for profit and gain. They get the money, we get the pain.
So I hope you'll all, if you go to Spotify, our first 2 are launched. If you put in click the album, hopefully it will come up and we'll be at the Grammys next year.
Okay, before we wrap up, I just want to say that as a developmental psychologist, what's been really fun for me, as Sue Ellen's sister is to know that she has been a journalist since she was 10 years old, and she walked around our neighborhood interviewing people and did a neighborhood newsletter. And she worked at the Chicago Tribune for 10 years, very intense newsroom work. I think you swore a lot at that time, if I remember. But and then, has been teaching at Western, educating students. But then she was like, that's not enough. And she created this exhibit she showed you of Wonder Media, was down in Kalamazoo. And students from Kalamazoo Public Schools came through. How many?
137,000 people came through.
Yeah, 137,000 people came through the exhibit. And then she said, well, we can't just put this stored away here at Western. Let's get it out online. So now it's in the libraries. That's wondermedialibrary.com.
Yep.
And now the musical. So you can keep your eyes out for that next. I just think it's a great example of finding something you're interested in to become an expert in, and then using it for the good of others, right? To help educate us all. So could we give a round of applause, please, and a thank you to Sue Ellen.
Thank you.
Lastly, I would like to invite you to come back Thursday, March 20th, same time, same place, for Dr. Preeti Shah from the University of Michigan, who will be talking to us about ADHD in adulthood. So thanks for your time, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks.